Thank you for tuning in. You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio World. This is Women Empowerment Talk Radio, and I'm your host, Carmelle Bias. We are in the studio today with our guest, the amazing Miss Apostle Suprina Ford. Oh, Miss Suprina, how are you doing today, this afternoon?
I am super blessed. Been running, but I'm here.
Good.
It's good to see you.
Yes, good to see you too. Glad to have you on the show with us this afternoon today.
Thank
We are
you.
going to definitely jump into this interview, but before we do, I have a couple announcements to go ahead and give. Women in Business Expo Group. Oh, as you know, we have been diligently working on the website. This morning had an amazing meeting with Elaine Robinson, CEO and founder of Smiling Websites. She is doing a great job on this website, y'all. We are so excited and can't wait to launch this out. This is definitely going to be an opportunity for small business owners. There's going to be information there on resources, a small business directory. You know, we're going to have an e-commerce platform where business owners will be able to put their products and services up and showcase on the site. You know, some amazing things. Women Empowerment Talk Radio is going to be on there too. You know, so we are doing the work, y'all, and definitely you want to support when that website does launch. I definitely will let y'all know, but we're excited, you know, for this opportunity here to be able to serve those small business owners and provide this resource here, you know, that's really going to help us as business owners, you know, get our business out there, help us market, you know, and let others know, you know, support small business owners because we are hard workers, you know, we do a lot. So we definitely want to continue that support. Continue to check out Women in Business Expo Group on Facebook, or simply email if you have any further questions or concerns, want to know how to get on the website, how to become a member, you know, what next steps to take. Definitely you can email us, Women in Business Expo Group at yahoo.com. Also, too, I want to share an experience it is that we had this past week. Myself and my assistant, Jesse, we were out this past Tuesday, and got a chance to meet the CEO and founder of Ethiopia, Queen Touch. You know, if y'all have any aches or pains, you definitely want to go and see her. CEO and founder of Ethiopia, Queen Touch, located at 3400 Harbor Avenue Southwest over in West Seattle. You know, she has a great studio space, wonderful environment, definitely all about relieving the aches and pains it is that we may have, you know, in our shoulders, our hands, neck, whatever that area is. She did an amazing job with Jessie. Gave her an hour massage, I believe it was, you know, and was able to restore her energy once again. So she's not all just about, you know, relieving the aches and pains, but also to restoring your energy. So for those it is, you know, that are looking for that relief, if it's an ache or pain, or just want that time of relaxation, you definitely want to contact Ethiopia Queen Touch, located at 3400 Harbor Avenue in West Seattle. That phone number, if you want to go ahead and find out more information or schedule an appointment, it is 206-518-0172. Again, that phone number is 206-518-0172. You can go ahead and call, make your appointment, you know, and get that massage there. You know, treat yourself. It's the holiday time right now. You know, it's a lot of stress and tension going on, you know, so go ahead and take that visit over there to West Seattle. Ethiopia Queen Touch, located at 3400 Harbor Avenue Southwest in West Seattle. Again, that phone number, 206-518-0172. Y'all visit her. Definitely an amazing experience. Now I want to go ahead and reintroduce here our guest once again. Apostle Suprina Ford is in the studio with us today via StreamYard. We're going to just dive right in with her interview. This woman has an amazing story, y'all. You know, but one thing it is I have to do before we jump into this interview is, again, give my cousin Frank Ford a big shout out there in Brooklyn, New York, where he lives at. Yes. Is all about connecting us, you know, and he definitely contacted me, said, Carmelle, I got one for you. You need to call up Suprina. She's doing some great things there in the city of Seattle. She's going to be great for your radio show. And that's exactly how we reconnected. Love this lady here. You know, this is family. This is family right now. So you guys just kick back, listen to this interview. She has an amazing story. Trials to triumphs, overcoming all kinds of barriers, you know, just doing some amazing things right now. So we are honored to have you on the show with us once again. Miss Suprina Ford, go ahead and tell our listeners a little bit more about yourself. Give us some background.
Well, I am saved, first of all.
Yeah.
And I truly do believe in God. He is my source. He's my rock. He's my husband. He's my counselor. And he's definitely been my friend. And most people will probably ask the question, why did you start off with this? I'm starting off with this because he is definitely the head of my life. And I want to never forget that if it had not been for God on my side, I definitely do not know where I would be. I was once a 4-time convicted felon. I was told that I would never mount up to be anything. I sold drugs, been in the penitentiary, you name it, I could actually claim it. But God saw fit to show me grace and to show me mercy. And I'm sorry about that, guys. It's my sister.
Yes. Yes. Well, that.
Anyway, in the midst of all of that, um, it it was the beginning of my journey, to where I am today, where I've landed into the position to be an entrepreneur. I've overcame many barriers. I have a business doing clothing retail. I also am a holistic nutritionist. I also, on top of all of that, we have a farmers market on wheels. We are branching it out to be local in our community right now. And I have a nonprofit organization, which I love so much. That's definitely my baby.
Yeah.
I've been able to actually help the African American community get connected with different resources and also help them renew their mind. That's one of the things that I really love about what I do. I am a fan of Harriet Tubman. I do believe in being a trailblazer. I am what they call fire walking, and that's exactly how I walk.
Yeah.
So that's just a little condensement of who I am and where I am today. So when the people hear me that's coming in, you'll understand that what you see right here hasn't always been what you see. I've
Right.
came a long way, and sometimes people forget, just because you see me at the mountaintop don't mean I didn't have to crawl. It don't mean I didn't have to climb. It don't even mean that I had to sit still for a moment or go back down that mountain and try it all over again. A lot of times we see people in the position they're in for the now, but we don't know what they went through to get to where they are. And so you find there's a lot of interruptions that can take off even in the midst of you hitting it to the peak.
That's exactly it too. Why don't you let the people know, like I said, a little bit more, of your background, which, of course, I know we definitely, grew up together. This is family right here. Okay. So, give us a little bit more of the experience it is that you had, kind of growing up. Tell us a little bit about that background.
Well, what our part of growing up, it wasn't really a struggle in that aspect, but yet there was some struggles on the inside.
Hmm.
I've always been one to crack jokes, laugh, and I think that was part of my own weapon, so to speak, to keep me in my right mind.
Yeah.
However, having been a child that came from a mother and a man that I thought at that time was my biological dad, to only find out later he wasn't my dad. However, he was the violator of my life.
Hmm.
And going through being physically abused, sexually abused, dealing with that situation, sometimes people don't realize the trauma that goes with the addictions. A lot of times we see the addiction, we see them promiscuous, we see them out there like that, and we think that they're a wild child and this is the path they chose. But what people don't realize is, when you don't deal with your demons that are inside of you, that you don't face the things that cause you to have fear, to cause you to go out and get high, to cause you to wind up in the penitentiary, for my case, to cause you to be that angry black woman, if you don't deal with those things that hit you as a child, and you try to go grow up and literally lead a path of success, you're going to drown. There's a lot of people that I know for a fact that are very successful in appearance, financially, but spiritually they're broken. And
Mm.
I just happen to be blessed to had the figure of a praying grandmother, so that was a wonderful thing. And then having like cousins around, where I could get away and escape that place that I was in. But
Yeah.
That's just a small part. Like I could tell my whole story on so many levels, from wind up in a place of prostitution, into the arena of becoming a madam, selling drugs, getting high, like all of that stuff. But I realized that really wasn't who I was. It
Right.
wasn't until I got to the age of 14, 15, somewhere around that way, that
Hmm.
I decided to take the street life because I no longer wanted to live in the house of abuse.
Right.
And me taking that journey took me from where I was a straight A student. I was a straight A student. I was honor roll. I had plans for my life. I wanted to go into engineering and architect. I was a great artist. I used to draw, and it was like my passion. Won a
Yeah.
scholarship to go to college. However, because of the hurt and the pain that was inside of me, I wasn't able to focus on what I really needed to be focused on because I still was in prison. I
Hmm.
was in prison before I got to prison. And there's a lot of people that are in prison right now that wants to be free, but they're not in the physical prison, but they're in the prison of their mind, or even the prison of your heart, or you got a combination. You're in the prison of your mind and your heart.
Yeah.
And I decided that during my incarceration, which was a heck of an experience. I went from being in prison from 1999 all the way to 2006. I
Hmm.
technically was supposed to be serving life, definitely was guilty of the charge. However, God saw fit to overturn the sentence of what the enemy meant for bad. God
Ooh,
turned it around for good. And a
yes.
lot of people don't understand why I get excited when it comes to the things of God, why I get excited when it comes to the things that I do to serve other people, because I know what it feels like to be locked up. I know what it feels like to be abused. I know what it feels like to be rejected. I know what it feels like. And rejection is one of my favorite words.
Yeah.
I just preached on it, talking about how rejection is actually a benefit for you to do better. Sometimes the people that you think are good for you are actually bad for you, but because you're toxic and you got with something toxic, you
Hmm.
continue to want the relationship of the toxic thing or the toxic environment or the toxic relationship. But when you actually get a time to just dry out and be able to wake up and understand what's really taking off and what's really going on, how smart you really are, the skills that you really got, when you start working on yourself and you start
Yeah.
focusing on saying, this is not the place.
That's
When
it.
you wake up and you really realize, oh my God, there is so much more to live for, there is such a great freedom. And even as you find your freedom, remember there will always be somebody that try to take your past, throw it up in your face. So you have to make sure you solid in your heart and you are okay with what you was, because that what you was just a temporary hold to the launch of where you are today. And
That's
I
it.
thank God for the divine acceleration, because people don't realize what your past does. It propels you to your future. When somebody's trying to hold you back, you have to be able to say, look, there's something greater. And I used to be in those dope houses. I would be praying with people. They would
Yeah.
tell me I was crazy, and I'm like, nah, man, I'm telling you, I'm coming out of this lifestyle. Like I had to prophesy over my own life. I had to believe in myself when nobody else believed in me. And in the midst of that faith moved mountains. That
Yes.
faith caused me to wind up in prison. And a lot of people like, oh, you had a jailhouse conversion. No, I had God. I just didn't know how to utilize the relationship with God because I didn't know what healthy looked like. So I chose the dark side versus the light. Because
Mm.
when you're dirty, let's get real with this. When you're
Yeah.
dirty, and I hope people are catching on what I'm saying. When you're dirty in your mind, when you're feeling filthy on the outside, when you're feeling like you're not even worthy, you're
Yeah.
looking at your own crap. Skip what everybody else is looking at. You're looking at your own stuff, and so you start seeing that and saying, "Oh my God." This light is shining on me. Now it's exposing me. Now it's making me vulnerable. Now it's causing me to feel yucky all over again. But then there's something that's warm that's starting to pull you in. Then all of a sudden you feel this living water that starts to refresh the way you think. And when you start to wake up and realize you think in a whole different way, then you start looking and doing self-examination and saying, hey, this ain't it. This ain't how I want to live. This ain't how I want to dress. This ain't how I want to be. And you
Yeah.
find yourself walking into that marvelous light, and then you find some freedom, and there's some real freedom there.
And there definitely is, and we can definitely tell you are passionate about the work it is that you do now.
Yes,
It's all
yes,
over you,
yes,
definitely, in your
yes,
tone, in your voice, and in the way it is that you live your life right now. Why don't you let our
yes.
listeners know, what inspired you? I mean, definitely from your past, it sounds like there, but to become Apostle Suprina Ford, what was that inspiration?
Well, let me tell you, that wasn't an inspiration. Let me tell
Mhm.
the truth on that.
Okay.
I didn't ask God to be no apostle. I didn't know nothing about an apostle. I was raised as a Baptist. I didn't know nothing about no Pentecostal church, no Kojic, none of that stuff. I just knew about the Baptist church. They were stiff, they were boring, and they pretty much didn't want women to talk and preach and all the other stuff. So I wasn't expecting this. But when I went to the penitentiary, I knew that I had to find another way. And
Yeah.
it was like God gave me an option. He said, you serve me for the rest of your life in prison, or you
Mhm.
can serve me outside. And I was like, well, I don't know how to serve you outside,
Yeah.
period. But if you teach me how to serve you, I'll serve you for the rest of my life. And that
Gotcha.
was the end of it. And so when I relinquished my rights and picked up his, that's when I began the journey. I began to search the word of God. God even gave me favor while I was in prison to sit up under one of the teachers from Moody Bible College. So I had a great mentor who was helping me get into theology, the study of God, the study of demons, the study of whatever. I was
Yeah.
a student of the word. I'd read the word 10 hours a day. I'd go work out. Like literally, I found so much peace in that. But in the midst of that, God allowed me to take a path to the light. And
Yes.
during the time of me becoming the office of apostle, there was a process that was taking place. And the first thing I had to deal with, I had to learn about the sacredness of marriage. And then I had to learn about spiritual warfare. And
Hmm.
in prison, you cannot escape unless you want to stay a little longer. So, in the midst of all of that stuff, I found myself becoming spiritually awakened.
Yeah.
And as I was awakening, what was taking place was I was seeing real life spirits, demons on people. And we in the Western Hemisphere, we are so far behind when it comes to spiritual things like that. We don't
Hmm.
want to really hear about demons. We want to throw somebody on a psych med and think that take the psych med that it's going to be all right. When the side effects of pharmaceuticals, root word pharmakia, meaning sorcery, is altering people from where they actually should be versus being free.
Yes.
So my path for that, I started studying all these different books, learning about spiritual warfare. I became a Mormon. I became a Jehovah Witness. I became a Catholic. Like I literally practiced all this. I started smudging. I started getting into witchcraft and the Wiccan. I got into all of that, but I never stopped reading that Bible. So
Hmm.
God allowed me to take this journey, allowed me to feel the history and learn about these different types of religions, occultic practices, whatever have you. I had to learn it. But
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
midst of it, there came a time when he said, okay, now I need you to let all that stuff go and I need you to worship me in spirit and in truth.
And that's
So
it.
my path started in prison and then I worked my way out. And I didn't realize that I was being called into the office of apostle until 2008. I went to a women's conference and the Lord used me at this conference. I wasn't planning on preaching and speaking and doing any of that stuff. I just wanted to serve God. I
Yeah.
wanted to help his people. That was just the bottom part of my heart, and the top of my heart was flooded with it. And it came out. And
Yeah.
so when I was at this particular conference, I'll never forget the experience because it changed my life forever. It
Mm.
already was being changed, but that was the seal the deal thing. I was
Yes.
in this conference, and there was a lady who thought she was going to use me for her own gain because of my talent. So she tried to use me, and it backfired, and God wound up having me speak that night, which wasn't planned.
Hmm.
And when I spoke, the first thing I spoke on was all those beautiful brown women of different shades in the same room. How come you say you love God and you can't talk to your neighbor? Let's
Right.
talk about some real deal Holyfield stuff,
Yeah.
okay? And when I seen that, I already was examining the room, like God already had me zoomed in. And I spoke a word. And the word I spoke, I heard chains literally break, people speaking in tongues. The room was filled with so much love. People were embracing one another because, with church folks, religious folks, they're cliquish. You
Right.
know, they don't, they don't realize they're being foolish. They don't realize the devil's using them to keep the body divided, but it was never created for that. We are
Mhm.
always been meant to be on one accord. So in the midst of that, the Holy Ghost fell on me after the room just took off, and I heard the Spirit of God so clear. Well, before that little piece right there, when I heard God, there was a lady who brought me a cross. And it was one of those crosses you see the bishops wear. It was this pretty, beautiful stainless steel. And I only wear it as I'm led by God to wear it because of the anointing that fell on that thing.
Yeah.
And so I put it on. I thanked the lady for it. But that was when I literally had wind blow up on me so strong, flooded with tears, and
Mhm.
heard the voice of God just as clear as a bell say, Apostle, you have been sent. Now go. And I
It-
looked up. I'll never forget this, man. It
Yeah.
was so real. And I asked the question, why me? An apostle, what is that? From
Yeah.
that day forth, I went on that journey. But
Yeah.
to get to really accepting an apostle, I didn't accept the office until 2010.
All right. Yes. Yes.
A
Well,
few years
definitely
later.
an amazing, amazing story on how you have become apostle. For those of you that are just tuning in, you're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio World. This is Women Empowerment Talk Radio, and I'm your host, Carmelle Bias. Oh, we are in the studio today via StreamYard with Apostle Suprina Ford here, sharing her story, the trials and tribulations, her journey into now, becoming a business owner and also, too, running her very own ministry. So let's talk a little bit about Restore and Repair Ministry Outreach. How did you come up with that name?
Isaiah 58. What is the true fast? The
Hmm.
repairer of the breach.
Yes.
Um, I read that and I thought about what I do, helping people come out the criminal justice system,
Hmm.
helping orphans, helping widows, um, opening my home to strangers, like literally for real, letting people come in my house to live with me that I don't know if they have a murdering spirit or not, but what I know is God is real.
Yeah.
So I would do what God told me to do, and it went from me feeding the homeless. I got put in, this is crazy. I got put in, when I got out of prison, I wind up in an apartment complex. And the apartment complex, I was like, God, you got to be kidding. It was the very same building I sold drugs, the very same building I got high, and my name was on the barred out list. Still to that day, I can testify to that. And I
Yes.
said, well, if I got to live here, then you need to put me towards 3rd Avenue. I'm downtown where I sold dope, downtown where I got high, downtown where I could never get the victory. I could go anywhere in the world, but I couldn't get the victory of downtown Seattle. So God put me right back in all the crap and showed me how to love other people, but also love myself to life and
Wow.
know that I can do it. And I tell you what, that was a challenge. He left
Yes.
me there for some time, for some years.
Mm.
So my ministry, I started feeding people. The door opened up for me to go and get donations. And then I created my own 501c3. And after that, I just kept going ever since then. But I'm telling you something, God got a sense of humor.
Yes, he does.
Whoever would have thought I'd been in the building that I tortured people in? Who would ever thought I'd been in the building where I sold drugs and got high and fighting folks,
Yeah.
cussing out the staff? You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Whoever would have thought that in a million years? I tell you what, God is good.
Yes,
He's
he
real.
is. He definitely is.
That's why I love him like I do. And that's why I tell people who don't believe, my faith didn't come in because I believed. My faith came in because I was at a hard place and said, look at here. I'm on a homicidal, suicidal mission. Just
Yes.
found my kid's father dead in my house. They illegally took my parenting rights, and I'm losing my mind. And I'm saying, if you are God, a
Yes.
real God, I need you to show up, because my path, I started living more dangerous. I started packing pistols. I was very violent. I had no filter. I had no grace. I had no mercy. And God knows I had no love,
Yeah.
because I was bitter
Hmm.
and I was
But he turned it
angry from
around.
holding on to all of that stuff and finding my kid's father dead in my house. What I mean, like a shock to my mind, you know? So, man, that's
Yeah.
how we got
Yeah.
started with this.
And
Learning
that's
that the
exactly.
system was failing us in multiple ways, try to get help. Churches telling me when I get out of prison, come and see them. And I went to see them and they never followed through. They act like they didn't know me. And I had to fight to get to where I am today. So that's what makes me show the love of Jesus the way it should be, embracing people and actually loving them where they are and showing them how to do something different.
Yes.
Because you'll know the difference between the ones who are fighting to live versus the ones who want to take you to hell.
The,
It's plain.
That's exactly it. Apostle Suprina Ford, why don't you go ahead and let our listeners know, for those it is that are interested in connecting with you and contacting you, how do they do that? What's the best way to connect with you?
So we have a website. It's Restore and Repair Missionary Outreach.org. That's one way. And we're also located in Skyway. I do my nonprofit inside of my store. It's a couple of, we kind of split the space. So my boutique is called Royal Life Boutique. Then I also have S&D Fresh Express, where our farmers market on wheels. So we are located in Skyway. Across the street is not even hard to find. If you can find Skyway's library, then we're straight directly across the street. If you know, I think it's called First Aid School, Driver School, or something like that. But
Okay.
they're next door to us. And we're across the street from Greater Temple, which the pastor there is Pastor Cole.
All right.
We're
All
not
right.
hard to find at all. Every
Again,
Friday, we give away free groceries. Please
yes.
do not call it a food bank, because we are living way above a food bank. Okay.
Awesome. Yes.
The Lord has blessed me to have grant writing skills. So I wrote grants. I wanted to get cultural food. I
Right.
didn't want to serve people stuff that was expired. I wanted to make sure that they had organic and fresh uh, fruits and vegetables. I do believe in a holistic life.
Yes.
And
Well,
I also help people come off of pharmaceutical medicine. I'm a holistic
yeah.
nutritionist.
We'll
I
go
sell
ahead.
products concerning that. So, yeah,
Good, good. Miss Sabrina, we want to thank you again for being the guest on our show this
yeah,
afternoon. And those
thank
listeners,
you.
we thank you for tuning in. This is Rainier Avenue Radio World, Women Empowerment Talk Radio, and I'm your host, Carmelle Bias.